After a short hiatus, welcome back to this edition of Arlington Public News. I'm Paul Werlin.
And I'm Michelle Marino. It's good to be back.
In tonight's newscast, we bring you a report on scams and scammers and what you can do to protect yourself. We also feature highlights from Town Day as well as the Arlington International Film Festival kickoff celebration.
And we bring you coverage of a dance and light performance at the Park Circle Water Tower. All this and much more coming up next. Please stay with us.
On Sunday, September 21st, hundreds of thousands converged on New York City for what is described as the largest ever rally around climate change. The People's Climate March preceded the two-day UN Climate Change Summit that was attended by 120 world leaders. We spoke to a young Arlingtonian who was at the march about her experience there.
Climate change is something that I am very passionate about stopping or minimizing. And I think that a lot of the time, I feel, and I think a lot of people my age and a lot of people everywhere in the world feel like there are just so many problems and we don't know what to do about them. When I heard about the rally, it just seemed like something that I could do, and I could meet people who are passionate about the same things, which is always very encouraging. It makes you feel like you're not alone in a goal that you want to achieve. So I really wanted to go to the rally and do something about something that I felt passionate about. Interestingly, on the bus that I took from Connecticut College, there were actually two other students from Arlington, both of whom attend Connecticut College with me. And it was really cool to be on a bus with only 20, maybe 25 students in total, knowing that three of us were from the same relatively small town. An interesting moment was the alarm that we sounded at 1 o'clock. And it was basically everybody in the march, so 400,000 plus people, making as much noise as we possibly could. Some people just used their voices and their hands, other people had instruments, and we just made as much noise as we could at 1 p.m. To sound an alarm and to tell people that it was time to do something. My friends' children, that I was there and feel like I did something. And I think looking back on it, we don't know what the effects are going to be right now. It's only been a couple of days. But I already feel like I did something, and therefore I can do more.
And here in Arlington, dozens gathered at 1 p.m. in front of the First Parish Church in Arlington Center in support of the People's Climate March. This was one of only two such demonstrations staged in Massachusetts as extensions of the New York rally. The organizers say they plan to hold standouts like this one regularly in the future. You know, Michelle, I guess it was quite a demonstration. Al Gore showed up and it was attended by many, many people.
And it's pretty fascinating. Arlington had one of two rallies here in Massachusetts, so that's pretty fascinating.
Pretty impressive.
We have all had them come to our door, call, or email us at this time of year. They're solicitors. And while most are legitimate, some decidedly are not and could even be perpetrating a scam. Arlington police are concerned about such activities occurring in town. Police Captain Richard Flynn provided APN's Brenda Mahoney with tips to help you tell the difference between a worthy cause and a con.
Thank you for joining us. I'm Brenda Mahoney of Arlington Public News, joined by Arlington Police Captain Richard Flynn.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, thank you for coming on board. We're here to talk about scams, when people convince you to do things, maybe buy products or services, and it's not legitimate. And they try to get your information and even your money. So we're here to sort through it all for you and also help you to prevent from becoming scammed yourself. Thank you, Captain. First off, what is the prevalence of scams in Arlington?
The prevalence is, you know, there's multiple ways that people are out there trying to get money from people. Whether that's people, in the neighborhoods going up to residents saying, I'd like to do some work on your home, I have an extra load of asphalt, or I want to work on your driveway, that kind of a scam where people come and they offer a service that just sounds almost too good to pass up. Then you have scams that come either through the phone or email. And again, those are kind of deals that they just send you an offer, or they tell you that you've won a lottery, but there's always a catch to it. There's always seems to be that catch, and that catch is that they're looking for money from you. So if the most prevalent scams that are out there right now, the ones that we're dealing with, at least we find we're dealing with most at the police department, are the phone scams, where someone you do not know contacts you, and they have a variety of situations or schemes that they're trying to tell you to try and get your money. Some of the most prevalent ones now are someone will call and say they're from the IRS. And
the phone number will actually say
Most
IRS
certainly,
because
yeah.
there's actually websites out there that allow you to spoof these phone numbers.
And send these ghost phone addresses when they come across. And they sound very convincing. They have all the time in the world to practice, and they come up with these schemes or scams, and they just keep dialing and dialing until they get someone who buys
Robocalls.
in. Yeah, law enforcement agency or a government agency or a utility company is never going to ask you over the phone to go to a store, buy a money back card, or go and get a Western Union check to pay your bill. Take a step back, maybe go to your records and pull a bill from one of those companies or whatnot and make a call.
How much time is this the Arlington Police Force actually taking on scams? How much of that time does that take for you?
I'd like to say I read a report of either a successful scam or someone who's just reporting probably every other day.
Wow.
I read one. So I mean it is prevalent. It is prevalent in the other communities around us, really throughout the nation. That IRS scam is it's been around for a while, and it's a major thing.
And what should someone do? Again, let's just reiterate, if it's too late, they already think perhaps they've been scammed.
Call the police department. Call the Arlington Police Department. If you're in the midst of something, if you have someone on your property and you feel that it's immediate, call 911. But if you think you might have been a victim, or you just want to share some information with us, 781-643-1212, and we follow up on all of these. Okay.
Thank you for your time, and thanks for joining us. I'm Brenda Mahoney of Arlington Public News. Captain Richard Flynn, Arlington Police Department.
Thank you very much.
Arlington celebrated its annual Town Day on September 13th. The family-friendly event celebrates our town in a festive and colorful display of community spirit. Over 200 booths lined Mass Ave from Jason Street to Pleasant Street. The event featured a demonstration from cheerleaders of all ages, live music, and lots of delicious food.
Well, as you just saw, Paul and I were honored to take part in the festivities of Town Day, and I think we had a blast covering all of the local organizations and speaking with some politicians.
We had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
We had a lot of fun. And if you weren't able to make it to the event and if you missed our live coverage, check the ACMi schedule and catch it on the public channel because we're airing it right now as we as we go into October here.
News intern Akriti Jagmohan travels around town to hear what you have to say about current events. In this segment of You Speak, she poses questions to residents about the Ebola outbreak.
Since March 2014, Ebola has been rapidly spreading in West Africa. The World Health Organization has confirmed 5,000 cases since then, with over 2,000 deaths. Are you worried about contracting Ebola? Are you taking any precautions to avoid it? Are you worried about it spreading to the United States? We want to hear you speak, residents of Arlington. So have you heard of Ebola?
Oh, yes.
And what are your reactions about it? What do you think about it?
I'd like to stay far away from it.
Okay, and why do you think that?
Extremely contagious, and apparently not much to stop it.
It's frightening, but I have a great trust in the United States.
It's sort of been put into a context now of unreal terror, but it is a real disease and it has to be addressed.
I would say they should screen anyone that comes from that area, and in some cases they might have to quarantine them.
We, the Western, scientific, technologically advanced, rich world, better get on it, because it will be not just someone else's problem, but our hideous, horrible problem really soon too.
The obvious thing is not to travel to Africa, or possibly not to travel. I find currently there's too much fear. It's a horrible disease.
I think that we have to address it as a country, as a world. We have to study it and eradicate it. It's very dangerous. It's incredibly sad. I've been looking at the videos of the people outside the hospital gates. It brings media saturation to life. It cuts through. It makes me very sad.
Some people are aware, some aren't. Though the residents of Arlington are confident about Ebola not approaching the United States, everyone agrees that this has become a global issue. Keep yourself aware. For Arlington Public News, I'm Akriti Jagmohan.
The Arlington International Film Festival celebrated its 2014 kickoff event with live music and art. The film festival itself will take place from October 15th through the 19th at the Regent Theater. APN was at the kickoff and brings you this report. We're here in front of the historic Regent Theater in downtown Arlington. We welcome you to the kickoff for the 4th annual Arlington International Film Festival here at the Regent, which will take place October 15th through 19th right here. We have some filmmakers that we're going to talk to tonight, some of the artists who are featured, as well as the organizers. So come on inside.
The festival is where Arlington and the world converge, which I think is a good way of putting it. Obviously, it's the most awesome cultural festival, film festival in Arlington. It is a major accomplishment by Alberto and April to have founded this organization and have built it and kept it going in such a fine fashion.
When we started the festival, only 50 submissions came. Now we are receiving more than 165 submissions from all over the world.
I know what a labor of love it is to kind of start these things. I know how important they are for the community, and it's fun to be here. It's exciting, and I think it's just such a big kind of hat tip to them and everybody else who's involved to bring this along. So I'm excited to be here.
And this year is the first time the student films are from all over the world. We have from Russia, Brazil, Taiwan, Germany, amazing films.
I've been living in Cambridge for like the last 5 years, and I teach cinematography and directing at Emerson College. And I was teaching my students like how to make short films, and I realized I hadn't made a short film in about 20 years. So I figured it was about time to do it again. And so I brought some of my favorite cinematography students to come help out, and we made the short film that's showing here in a few weeks.
Thanks for joining us here at the Regent Theater in Arlington for the kickoff for the Arlington International Film Festival. Hope you all can come over and view some of the films at the festival itself, which again is October 15th through 19th here at the Regent. I'm Paul Whirling with Arlington Public News. Thanks for joining us.
The iconic Park Circle Water Tower was transformed into an exotic performance space for one night. A program of dance was illuminated by pictures of Arlington that were provided by town residents. The September 7th event was organized by Merle Guerra, a local resident and co-founder of Luminarium Dance Company, which was awarded a grant from the Arlington Cultural Council.
Luminarium is a modern and contemporary dance company that was founded in 2010. We kind of came about based off of our mutual foundation in light. I came to it with a background in video projection, and my co-director had a background in theatrical lighting design, so the two of us decided to create a dance program that would enhance dance through light as opposed to just having lighting be an extra element added in the last final moments of the production. This performance came about as Luminarium's annual cultural community outreach project. And I drove by this amazing building day after day, and I thought, this is the space. We have to do something here. My co-director supported me, and we applied for the grant, and we received a very wonderful grant from the Arlington Cultural Council. So one of the things that was important to me was saying, okay, this is a beautiful historical landmark that obviously we all drive by every day. What can I do to focus our attention on this for an evening? What can I do to kind of bring the community together and celebrate a central focus of Arlington? And so I reached out to the Arlington Center for the Arts, and I inquired if they had any images of the tower, because I had looked online and seen that it seemed like people liked to paint the tower. And luckily, they have a project called the Images of Arlington Project. And over the last decade, they've gathered an amazing amount of images, both by professionals and by children, all from the Arlington community, of the Arlington community. And so we sifted together through a couple hundred of these images. They sent about 100 my way, and ultimately 75 of them are going to be presented here tonight on the tower. I'm hoping that everyone who comes to this event leaves with a newfound appreciation, not only of the tower, but of the community itself, of this town as a whole. I want everyone to come to see this tower in a new light, literally and figuratively, and I'd love for them to see each other, see the artwork that they've all created, and then also to be able to see dance in an outside venue. We do these kinds of events all over the greater Boston community, so we would love it if you were to follow us, luminariumdance.org.
You know, the water tower at Park Circle, it's always been one of my favorite buildings, if you can call it that. In
Landmark,
Arlington.
yeah.
Yeah, architecturally, and how cool that they did that with that building.
Very cool. There seem to be a lot of really interesting arts and entertainment events going on in Arlington lately too, which is great.
Definitely. Arlington United for Justice and Peace held a fundraiser for Oxfam and Doctors Without Borders, featuring the music of the legendary Pete Seeger. An estimated 150 people attended the sellout event on May 24th, raising $2,500. APN thanks Chris Nauman for letting us know about the event.
So we were lamenting two things at once, the passing of Pete Seeger, a great American folk hero, and also current events in Syria, and just really disturbed by how this crazy war is continuing to go on for 3 years, and how thousands of people have died, and there's millions of people displaced now, and nobody's helping them out. I mean, there are some organizations, and Oxfam and Doctors Without Borders are two of those organizations that are helping out. And we thought, well, you know, there's so much, you know, woe and suffering in the world, and we got to do something. And there's really no clear answer of what the right thing is politically in Syria, but we do know we can help our fellow human beings. So we decided to have a fundraiser to do that, and then also honor the memory of Pete Seeger. So this is a Pete Seeger sing-along evening, and we're going to sing songs that Pete Seeger wrote, that that he made famous, and we're going to have a lot of fun doing it, and at the same time raise some money for those refugees who are suffering from the conflict in Syria. We've done events like this before and raised $1,000 or so I hope we can meet our goal tonight. And it's also just a good community event to bring the community together, to share in the spirit of Pete Seeger and folks who care about, and many of us who have struggled for a more just and peace world, and to share that spirit of community and love of humanity right here in Arlington. I'm just tickled to death to be here and be part of it, and I'm looking forward to a really good time. So if the viewers weren't here tonight, maybe we'll do it again.
And now, news intern Katie Runing brings you a personal story about her family and a bakery legacy.
News producer Katie Runing recently made a book documenting her family's long history in baking. Baking in her family spans over 12 generations. We spoke to Katie and her family about their experience exploring this rich family history.
I was in a bookmaking class, and I knew I wanted to put together all of the recipes that were famous in the bakery. So I thought it was a great way to archive kind of the moment where my dad and I went through the recipes together at Thanksgiving and kind of pulled them out and read them together and kind of just discovered this piece of history from my grandfather, my great-grandfather, when he owned the bakery.
When we go out to dinner or something in town, people who will come in to visit, come back to visit their families, or some of the people that have been living there, they see us out, and somehow the conversation comes around to the bakery. And the memories they had of the certain types of food, I just think that brings back, you know, that home feeling that people have when they come back to visit.
Sometimes we would have something that didn't come out just right. We'd either junk it or give it away to somebody to feed their pigs or hogs or something. But we wouldn't sell anything that we weren't proud of. And we had a good reputation in Wellsville of having the best in the baked goods.
Our bakery was, for me, like a little candy shop. It was like a place to go and have fun. And I knew my grandfather did it, and I knew my dad and my uncle were working there. But at that point, I didn't really know much more. And then recently, Kate wanted to go back and look at our family history. And as we did that, we discovered that, oh my Lord, there's more and more bakers the further back we look. So I didn't realize that we had so many bakers in the family.
How has it been for you to kind of share in this experience and discovering and really documenting and digging and finding out more about this with your daughter, Katie?
Well, it's not only with Kate, it's with my dad too, that when we sit around, like she was mentioning about Thanksgiving, and we're sitting there looking back through these, you know, very fragile recipes that still have flour on them from the bakery. And it's bringing back memories for him too. He's 88 years old, and he remembers these things, and it brings him some joy about thinking about that bakery. And so it's a whole family thing, and I would encourage people to, you know, talk to their parents and grandparents about things that have happened in the past. It's quite fascinating.
Anything else about this, you know, journey that you've gone on that, you know, you kind of learned about yourself or your family?
I think it kind of just made everything feel closer in a way, that even though the span of the history is 300 years, there's actually only about 8 bakers. So it kind of just makes it feel smaller, make me feel more connected to them.
I'm Brenda Mahoney for Arlington Public News.
Up next is our arts and entertainment calendar.
The Old Schwam Mill will hold an opening reception for its fall art show, Binding Threads 2, on September 27th. The collection of contemporary quilts will be on display through November 15th. Vintage paper silhouette artist Keith Donaldson will be at Artbeat on October 3rd creating heirloom gifts. Reserve your time now. Arlington Children's Theater presents the 4th annual 10-Minute Play Festival October 10th through 11th at Arlington Center for the Arts. Here, wire sculptor C.W. Rowley discuss his work shown at 13 Forest Gallery on October 10th. The exhibit, Out of Thin Air, runs through October 17th. Join the Friends of Robbins Library and Science for the Public to learn about DNA folding and how it affects gene function on October 14th. Also at Robbins Library, spend 4 Wednesday nights in October writing your memoir or family history with Lynette Benton. Space is limited, so sign up now.
Well, Paul, I don't know about you, but I have a huge sweet tooth, so all this talk about cookies is making me very hungry right now.
Me too.
Looks great, and what a family tradition.
12 generations, and it started in Germany all those years ago.
Amazing. Thank you for joining us this week as we present issues of interest to Arlington and surrounding communities. Check out our latest segments on the web at news.acmi.tv, and don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Twitter.
Please join us next time for another edition of Arlington Public News. I'm Paul Werlin.
And I'm Michelle Marino. See you next time.